What's up, everybody? If you don't know us by now, this is Brown Sugar Confessions, coming to you wherever you're getting your listening and your viewing pleasure. And always, you can count on us on no other than Power 1017. And tonight, we are so excited for another fabulous show. If you're live on YouTube, you are seeing that we're missing KD. She's out and about doing what KD does, doing her AV stuff. She'll be back with us next week. But in the meantime, we have Tracy and Miss T. We're going to hold it down for tonight's show. So I hope you guys are ready for a really fun, hot topics, some good sexy topics, and also we're going to just, have girl talk, because that is what we do on Brown Sugar Confessions. Okay, so let's bring up these gorgeous co-hosts that we have tonight. You know by now, there is nobody else that I live my life through other than this beautiful woman in New York. No one. There's no one. Tracy, my gorgeous Tracy. How are you? What are you doing? You look fabulous back there. What's going on in New York? Is it snowing or is it warmed up?
It's warm. I just got back from the city. I got to see Chelsea Wolfe live, which was amazing. I got to dress in my best goth girl outfit and look adorable.
Goth girl. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a goth girl at heart. I love my goth music.
I did not know that about you.
You know what? Most people don't. They see me and they think pink bubble gum. But at my core, I am a goth girl all the way. It was a really good show. I got to spend some time around. We had St. Patrick's Day. I didn't wear green, but I did a little smooching. And
is one of your boos Irish?
He is.
I thought so. Okay, all right. Yeah. Won't name names, won't kiss and tell, but I thought so.
Yeah, no, but it's been really, really great. How are you doing, Doc Val?
I am doing great. I will tell you, I've been very busy. I was in California. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I took some time away and I went to California with one of my girlfriends and hung out, and it was a really good girls trip. I haven't done. I guess it's our trip in Jamaica, of which we need to talk. We need to revisit that. I'm still getting emails about Jamaica. Like, when are we going? Because we put it off. But we're going to have to revisit that at a later point to bring people that want to come and experience Jamaica and hedonism and what it's like. But being around people that will not guilt you, that won't shame you, that will give you great workshops, and also introduce you to whatever you're into to let you feel comfortable. You want to make sure that when we announce this coming up, maybe for next year, that you guys get your monies ready, because we're going to be, what goes on in Jamaica stays in Jamaica. That's all I need to say. And I won't.
Unless it follows you home.
Yes, it did follow you home, didn't it? It did. I forgot about that. She did bring one back. Did she bring a nice one back too? All I remember is just seeing Versace underwear. And then they were off. That's like, oh my God, Versace never looked so good.
It wasn't my plan. Be completely honest. I walked right by him, went to the bar. Miss T was there.
You did. We all
didn't say nothing. Played it cool. I was cool. Going, cool girl Tracy. I'm ordering, and the next thing I know, so he's not gonna say hi. He left the person he was talking to come talk to me. So you're not gonna say hello to me? I'm like, you were talking to someone. Yeah, you were. And he slid up quick, like it was almost cartoonish the way he slid.
We nicknamed this beautiful gentleman Versace because he looks and smells like he comes out of some kind of Italian Vogue magazine. Yes. And then he was wearing Versace underwear that he took off. Versace was busy. I mean, the women were
Love
not,
them.
they were not shy about coming up to Versace. Then he came into, yeah, and then he came into our tribe. And then he never went back.
There's no one when we're clicked up like we are and the vibes are great. You can't ignore us. I'm sorry. You can't
You really
ignore
can't.
us.
You really can't. We had the best time. Oh my God. So,
Yes, we did. Look, all we yelled was Versace. Stopped, turned around, got in the pool, and it was a wrap. It was
it
a
was
wrap.
a wrap. It was one of the best nights, and we nicknamed everybody. The next one we named was ATL. We had one of the best nights, and Snooky, he found me. Yes, he found me. Yes, and then we also found. Then there was a Snooky, if I recall. It was a good night. A good trip. It was not even a night. It was a whole trip.
It was an
So
experience. It was an
it
experience.
was. So the idea is when we announce this, make sure that you guys reach out to us. And it's going to be an amazing trip. We're going to plan it for hopefully next year. And because I know that you guys want to go, because you let us know, and we're going to make sure it happens for you. All right. So Miss T, what's up with you in the eight? Speaking of ATL, what's going on at ATL?
It's finally, as of today, it broke over 75. It was amazing. The sky was clear. The bees were out. The bees were very confused because it's officially spring and now they got to catch up. Well, technically, it's officially spring next week, but they got to catch up because the day's been a little bit warmer. So they're all over the place. Some of them that got knocked down and they're like unconscious on the side of the street. It's been it was an interesting walk earlier today. But either way, that is neither here nor there. I got something to talk to y'all about. All right. So, because both of y'all are either married or have been married. So, have you ever had to deal with an overbearing, I guess, in-laws? Okay. So, overbearing in-laws, and were you able to do anything like privately with just you and your husband, or did they always have to be about the family? The family.
I was able to do private stuff because I held some really strong boundaries. So yeah, I was able to,
Same.
but yeah, but it takes, you have to respect them. But go ahead, what's the story? Then I'll talk about my stuff. But go ahead.
Okay. So, here's the title of the story. It comes from the New York Post. My wife and I eloped, but her family crashed my wedding. It was a so this man hops on Reddit in the I guess there's a whole Reddit thread called wedding shaming. So he hops on Reddit to tell the story about how him and his wife they were trying to elope in order to avoid her family coming for the wedding. But somehow they found them and traveled 1,000 miles to crash the wedding and their Airbnb. So the man is 26, and his wife was also 26. And what they ended up doing was they wanted to have like a small size wedding, a couple of friends, sign the papers, have a nice little dinner, and then, get video, get pictures, call it a day, right? Somehow, and I'm still trying to figure out how they found out about this, how the family found it out. But anyways, so they rented and the guy and the wife rented an RV and an Airbnb and went to Colorado. They figured Colorado because of the views, so they would have great picture views, and it was far away from both of their families, right? And then because I guess the wife's side wanted to have a big family, but it was too expensive. So that's why they were like, we're just going to elope. Okay, fine. So the next thing they know is that the Weiss family showed up at their Airbnb like the day before the wedding. The guy's mother-in-law, the wife's mom, was a pill abuser, And she always raised her family with the motto, family is the only thing you have. So you always have to go to your family. Your family always has to be here, this, that, whatever. So they welcomed themselves to the Airbnb. Um, ate everything that they had in there, drank everything they had in there. The guy and the wife were trying to, keep it private because also the wife is pregnant and she didn't want to tell the family just yet. But because everybody in the family's drinking, they're pressuring her to drink, and she's like, I can't drink. And they're like, well, why can't you drink? And then that's how they found out that she was pregnant. So now it's not just about the guy and the girl getting married, it becomes all about the mother-in-law's grandbaby, right? So they had spent all this money to have like a videographer, a photographer there. And I guess once you have all of that, once you get in the contract, you can't really cancel them, especially if it's so close to the date they're supposed to be there. So they got a few pictures, no video. Um, they didn't go to any of the places they wanted to go because they had the family there the entire time.
Why are they still getting married? I wouldn't, I don't know. At my age, and I think I've dealt with family members like this, they don't get better with time. They get worse.
They got married. Well, actually, they aren't even officially married because when the family came through, they didn't even have time to actually sign the wedding ticket or the marriage certificate because they were trying to do damage control with the family. But here's my thing is I want to know how they got the address.
Probably the guy, the son, probably gave his mom the address. Oh, well, then she did. Mm-hmm. They maybe she wasn't aware that she had that that share the family app thing. Maybe she wasn't aware. Who knows? But somehow it got out, and
Yeah.
she needed to tell her mom. I know it's hard to say, Mom, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, no. This is his wife's mom. This isn't his mom. That's why I'm like, either she folded and didn't tell him, or they got some kind of tag on her and they just followed it.
Well, I will tell you a true story between me and my son. This is a true story. He's doesn't listen to the radio. Thank God, not to this, not to brown sugar. I don't let any of my kids listen to my stuff. I think my granddaughter does. But anyway, let me digress and move on. My son was getting married, and he called and he says, "Mom, I want to talk to you." And it's almost like this here a little bit. We're getting married at the house because we want to keep it private. We want to keep it very intimate. No, she wasn't pregnant. And it was expensive. And they just wanted something very, very small. And we're not inviting anyone. And my heart went to my toes. I'm like, what do you mean you're not invite? Okay, you mean anybody else? What you mean to say, right? And he's like, no, right. No, you're not. And that, I was like, whoo, I was like, whoo, I can remember I didn't take it really well. And I said, let me find that her family is in any of the pictures and I'm going to rip I would just snap them. I'm like, how dare you? He's like, Mom, I swear to you, no one. But he already has two kids but the kids, the wife and I are there. That's all we want. We were going to have a big celebration later when our money's right, but that's what we want right now. And I had to honestly ask the Lord Jesus and call on my dear departed mother to calm me down and to make sure I didn't run to Virginia to crash my son's wedding. But I didn't. I respected his boundaries. All right. He didn't want anybody there. She did not have anybody there on her side. He didn't have anyone on his side. It was just the two of them. I saw all the pictures and I respected that. And even though I wanted to be I wanted to be there and like, oh my God. But I had to say, okay, this is for my son. This is his day. It's not my day. And as hard as it was, when I tell you hard, because my son and I are like one. If you see me, you see my son. We look almost like twins. and he's my firstborn. He's he's my heart. My daughter is the beat of my heart. You we go together, right? The three of us, and not to be there was a really big deal. But you have to respect their wishes and move yourself out of the equation. And I do get it's hard. I do. I don't know why I guess it was financially why they didn't let the family there. Because there's my son was saving for a home and a new car and blah, doing, being a family man. He was taking care of his family and they didn't want to put the money out for other people, and I respect that. He says, later on, we'll have a big reception. And he says, and yes, Mom, you can plan it. And I was okay after he says, I can plan it.
I tried to say that to my mom when my dad had passed away, and she was not having it. Like, she was like, I will beg, borrow, and steal to get over there because I need to be there with you, and da da da. Like, I can't deal with all this and you. That is one thing I've always wondered. Here with weddings, is it traditional that the bride and groom pay for it themselves? I always thought it was whoever's family pays for the wedding.
Hasn't that changed with, second marriages and kids being born and stepkids? Hasn't that all kind of changed now from the traditional? I think it has changed, honestly. You got, you know, one person might have been married two times, and then one person might not have been married at all. And so who pays for that? Well, he's already been married or she's already been married a couple of times, but yet one party isn't. So who covers that expense? I think
Whoever
it
has
just,
more money.
I think it's changed. It's not just the bride's parents anymore, because then there's divorced parents, and there's step parents, and there's who knows. I mean, it's changed. So I think that's a conversation that has to be had between the couples and be honest about it. You can't expect the bride's side to pay anymore. I think it has to be negotiated because there's a lot of isms and schisms now, or isms in families. That's what I think. I could be totally wrong, but who knows? Well, let us know what you guys think. So I hope you guys are listening to this and write in, and actually tell us, like, did one of your children stop you from going to their wedding, and or who's paying for these weddings now? That's a real question. That's a good question, Miss T. I don't know. All right, so let's move it on.
All right. So, new set of questions for you. Have you heard of the 4B movement? 4B movement. Okay. So we're about to dig into a lot of things. So just throwing out a content warning, femicide, patriarchy, and patriarchal rage. So just throwing those out. So if you guys are not comfortable with any of those topics, just walk away for like the next 20-ish minutes, come back, we'll talk about the new hot topic, or come back next week, or just go back and watch one of our other shows on YouTube. But before that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the 4B movement is a movement that is coming out of South Korea. It was talking essentially about the four Bihon. So Bihon essentially means no, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, please forgive me. So the 4B movement is based on four things. Bihon, which is no to heterosexual marriage. Bichusan, which is no to childbirth. Biyone, which is no to dating, and I'm assuming that's heterosexual dating. And bisexu, no heterosexual sexual relationship. So those are the four B's for the four B's of the 4B movement. And there's a lot of overlap as to why a lot of this is happening. It's been a big topic on TikTok for the last few weeks. So before the US tries to take TikTok away from us, I would definitely suggest you go down the 4B movement rabbit hole. So those are the four main principles. So no heterosexual relationships, or I should say sexual relationships, no heterosexual dating, no marriage, no childbirth. And they're trying to blame the 4B movement on South Korea now having the lowest birth rate in the world. So their birth rate, I think, is what, 0.2%, I want to say. And it's not just the 4B movement. I think the 4B movement is the aftermath of all of this. So everybody out in Radio Land, if I say anything incorrectly, as always, please write out to us, reach out to us. We'll make some corrections as we move and talk about the show and future references. So essentially with the 4B movement, prequel. So, back in the day when China had the one child policy? Okay. So South Korea had something similar where they had a reduction of children, and because it's the culture, most of those children that they wanted were male. So, if you have a female child, what do you do?
Give it away.
There's a litany of sell it, give it away, do what the Spartans did.
And this is in Korea, we're talking. Okay.
So you have this oversaturation of male children and very less female children. So once the government kind of realized this, they were like, we got to stop making people, one, stop having just one singular child, and two, they need to understand that their daughters are just as important as their males, or as their sons. So they tried to run this whole campaign where they're like, hey, your daughter is worth 10 sons, which it kind of encouraged, and they were also paying incentives for people to keep their female child rather than either selling it, sending it off to be adopted, or aborting it. So this is in South Korea. So we're talking about just South Korea, not the North Korea, because nobody knows what's going on in North Korea at the moment. So all of this is happening. There's still the cultural preference for males. There's still the, how you say, I guess, the culture of the domicile, that boys and men are treated better than their wives and their daughters. So the daughter is always expected to drop everything for her brother or her father or her uncle, right? So all of this is happening. And then it got to a boiling point that somewhere in the past couple of years, the women of this generation were like, we're not going to do that anymore. We're off. We're done with men. We're done with having babies. We're done with dating men. That's it. So, and this is where we are now with the 4B movement.
Well, you know what? I say more power to the South Korean women. And I get, are they going towards lesbianism, or are they going to the AI sex? What are they doing? Or they're just, technology in South Korea is ahead of the US from what I understand, but what do I know about technology? So I guess they're still enjoying intimacy with each other as women. And of course, you don't need to have a male relationship to have a child. I guess they're doing artificial insemination and maybe AI sex. Okay. No childbirth. Okay.
So, well, remember, because they said no childbirth. That's one of the 4Bs, is no childbirth. No childbirth. So, from my understanding, is that they do, some women have decided they're just dating other women, they're having sexual relationship with other women, this and whatever. And now, because the movement has started to grow, the government has decided it's starting to become a problem, because if all the women stay with the women, what does that mean for the rest of us? And that's what we're going to talk about after we come back from break.
Welcome back to Brown Sugar Confessions, If you're listening to us on Power 1017, hey, what's up, boo? Come to our Facebook page, like us. Also, look, we're going to be completely honest here. You hear our voices, right? Ooh, deep, sexy, giving knowledge. Well, hop on over to our YouTube and see how adorable we look, because we killing it tonight. We killing it. Join us on YouTube. Look, if you like listening to us and you don't think, man, an hour is not enough with these ladies.
Not enough.
First of all, it's never enough.
Never enough.
Going over to Brown Sugar Confessions, and you can find us on Spotify. You can listen to us while you're spring cleaning, which you should be doing because it's time of year now. Stop
Bruh,
it.
Seriously?
It's that time of year. Open the windows, blast us on your speaker, put us in your earbuds while you're cleaning. Tell your children to shh. We got things to do. Get to cleaning. Now, here's the real ish. Are you listening to this and thinking, I need some help? One, my Lotus sounds like dry macaroni.
Like the Tin Man and the Wiz.
Look, I'm with my partner. My partner is not pleasing me. I need lessons. He needs lessons. And I need lessons to relax because I have been failed so many times. I am tense.
Tight.
You need to reach out to none other than the hostess with the mostest, Doc Val.
Doc Val.
Look,
Hey.
and I'm going to say this on a personal note. I had one of mine take some classes with Doc Val.
Okay.
Let me tell you this. This man hits that spot every time.
Ooh.
Every time.
Every time. Every time. Look, we had to get one of them little special sheets for the bed that soak up all the wetness.
Okay. You heard it. Thank you for the testimony, Tracy.
I'm just telling you, there is a level of professionalism, also independence. She lets you explore on your own and gives you that opportunity. So she doesn't turn you into something that you're not. The intake questionnaire is extensive. You have to be ready for this.
7 pages.
You have to be committed.
Ooh,
yes, you have to be
7 pages.
Jesus.
Yes.
What
It's not
else
just
do
for
I
you,
need
it's
to
for
talk
your
about for a full 7 pages.
It is.
Hey, you got to talk about your red lights, your green lights, your yellow lights. You have to talk about trauma. You have to talk about all of these things because all of these things make you who you are, and we have to navigate who you are safely.
Is this multiple choice?
No,
it's essay, actually.
What?
Yes, it's essay.
Gross.
But you know what? It's so thorough. It makes you think about things that you've never thought of when you're trying to get intimate with someone, like things I would have never thought of. You know, I'm more of a let's get it, like let's go. And I had to stop and really think about the process. But if you want to think about the process, if you want things to get better, you're going to need to reach out to Doc Val look, don't come for my accent or on this freckle on my nose, we gonna fight. Do you understand?
That one right there?
Don't do it.
Or was
This
it that
one.
one? That one?
Look, it's all my freckles. Leave me alone. You're gonna need to reach out. You're gonna need to reach out to Valerie at swancenter.com. That is VALERIE at SWANNCENTER.com. Now, if you just got some confessions and you want to do a little freakily, you better run on over to brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com. I'm not going to spell that. Y'all know how to spell brown sugar confessions at gmail.com. Now, let's get back into this 4B.
4B.
I keep thinking, see, I'm from Texas. You say 4B, I hear 4H. Let's go.
Not
But you know what?
No.
Speaking of Texas, before you, because this was the perfect segue, you talked about Texas.
Okay, let's talk about
it. Before you jump onto the 4B movement,
let's talk about it.
I got the hottest of hot topics.
Okay, let's go.
I am sorry to announce that PornHub is no longer allowed in Texas as of tonight.
As of tonight, as of like
Tonight.
midnight.
As of
Why?
Thursday. Here's what happened.
Hold on, hate it for you.
Here is what happened. The porn giant, I'm reading it, it just came across. The porn giant is not allowing users to hop on its site because of a new age verification legislation signed into law effective immediately on Thursday. As a result of this, PornHub is no longer available if users have a Texas IP address. So the bill requires people to prove they're over 18 years old before watching explicit videos. But PornHub, they said, I'm reading this, is pretty petty. I think PornHub's out of Canada, if I recall correctly. Instead of just complying with a new regulation and demanding people prove their age, because Pornhub could have done that. What Pornhub said to do is screw you. They opted to shut it down for everybody in Texas altogether.
Wow.
So now there's a new banner for those that have Texan IPs that says a new message appearing on the site to people in Texas says the company believes age verification infringes on the rights of adults to access protected speech, and the overly restrictive measure isn't a real solution. Therefore, the company says it made a difficult decision to completely shut down access to the site. So we are sorry to announce, if you're living in Texas and or going to Texas, you will not be able to access your favorite porn site, Pornhub.
But isn't that why you can get a VPN?
Are those still legal? Are those still legal?
What, VPNs?
Yeah.
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 Unless
okay.
they took that away too. Why wouldn't that be legal?
I thought there was like talk of them making them illegal in the US. I could be
So Texas, we are sorry that you cannot access your favorite Pornhub anymore. So what do you guys think about that they're requiring? Because I guess they could make it nationwide, and does this kind of coincide with the 4B movement? I don't know. I think we can make it work.
Nah, this definitely doesn't coincide with the 4B movement.
Okay.
But it depends. It
I was
depends.
like,
We'll get back into that. We'll get back into that in a little bit. But
thank you.
Here's the thing. They're only talking about PornHub, which is technically a free site, right?
Right.
So there are still other sites that they could probably access, but they'd probably have to do like a paid subscription, age verification, what have you.
Right.
My question is, what did Texas do besides this law thing that made them be like, you know what, just take Pornhub away?
Yeah, what happened?
And they thought that was going to like be the answer to everything.
We don't know. But yeah, so I found that quite interesting. So, and Pornhub just decided, because they just weren't going to comply with it, they just shut it down. Now, you mentioned something really profound, Ms. T, was at the free site. So they also have premium. So can you still access it, Texans, if you have a premium site?
I'm assuming if you had a premium site and they're like, we're shutting it down to people for Texas IP, you ain't gonna be able to get up there. So you just go ahead and cancel.
Maybe they do. Maybe it is canceled. They refund them back, and or they make them prove their age by sitting in identification. How else can you do that? But then, who is going to want to send in their ID?
Because nobody wants to be known that they watch
that
porn.
They're watching porn.
Everybody watches porn. It's like it's the elephant in the room. We all do it to some point or some extent. It's just that.
Yeah. Like, we don't want people to know that we're watching it. And speaking of watching porn, one of my girlfriends were telling me that, and more women were talking about loving, like, this porn that you and Tracy like. What is that thing called? What you guys like?
Oh, DFE or DFI?
Not
the comic?
Not Eggplant Flight Island, but the Japanese type, or the Chinese kind that you guys
cartoon.
like.
Oh, the hentai.
That's it.
The hentai.
That is it. Hentai. I was like, again? They're like, oh, we love it.
Yeah, you're missing out.
With women loving, what's it called, hentai?
Yes, because it's weird.
Hentai porn.
It's and maybe we just got to do like an episode on it at some point in the future. I think it's more to the point where it's just so obnoxious that it becomes comedic.
Okay. Maybe
I
that's
also
what it is.
think I fully think that it is not two human beings. It is two drawn people, so it feels less,
Ick.
I don't know, just less of everything that what a normal video would be, right? It's a man that is half horse, half man, and a person who is half fae, right? That's not, we're going to say that's not real, but it's also just a cartoon. So you can remove yourself from possibly a human being in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think it involves that, and it feels, for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that hide it, a lot less dirty.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
understand
maybe.
my drift.
Yeah, I do. That makes a lot of sense as to why females are drawn to it. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to one of our very first episodes, and we talked about what type of
Our
porn do
first
women like.
episode.
Our first
Yeah, that was
episode.
our first episode. Yeah.
Maybe we should go back and have another episode and actually talk about that and update our preferences and see, or maybe they're still the same about what type of porn. Maybe next week we're going to do that. What type of porn do women like versus men? We're going to do that next week. Why not?
So, going back to the 4B movement, if you are just catching up with us, remember that the 4B movement has 4 principles. They all start with B in Korean. So essentially it is no heterosexual dating, no heterosexual sex, no marriage to heterosexual men, and no bearing of the children. So I thought this whole little paragraph section would be interesting from the article that I'm reading a lot of this from. So I give you a quick thing about that, because a lot of people, or I think a lot of people are probably wondering, why is the 4B movement so important and why are so many women going towards it? So here's some of that situation, but on top of what we talked about in the first half of the show. So between 1953 and 2021, abortion was illegal in most circumstances. A 2015 South Korean government study revealed that almost 80% of women had been sexually harassed at work. Digital crime, including stalking and sexual harassment, which was called MOCA. And MOCA is the act of upskirting and secretly filming women in bathrooms, was rife. So this is like everyday things that are happening. Under the current legislation, men accused of stalking can ask their victims to drop the charges. Last year, unfortunately, a man unalived his former colleague after she refused to drop charges on him. In January of last year, an article in a Korean newspaper reported that 65% of women in the country did not want children, 42% did not want to get married, and over 80% of those citing domestic violence as a key reason. So there's a lot of reasons why the 4B movement has gotten a lot of steam in the past couple of months and years in Asia. And that's actually starting to spread because a lot of women are having those same issues in their work life and cultures in other countries. So the 4B movement is starting to become a thing that a lot of women can relate to. And now we're in a time where we don't have to rely on men in most of any of our stuff, like it was back in like the 70s, 60s, 50s, and so forth. So it's like, if I don't have to deal with men, why am I dealing with men?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at right now. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this 4B movement. Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's needed? And if it's not needed, what would we have to do in order to make people feel more welcome?
Tracy, you want to go first?
So do I think this movement is sustainable? Yes, I do. Why do I think it's happening? I think it's a combination of patriarchal abuse. Let's be completely honest about it. Men have had their run of doing what they please to women. And this is a way a woman can take back her body autonomy by not saying, I'm not even going to invest in that, because look, whether we want to believe it a lot, and I'm not going to say all men, right? Because there's going to be somebody that says, no, all men. But a lot of men are on this very distinct path of not understanding how they set up patriarchy every day in their life. And because they are used to abusing the system and women are removing themselves, they do not understand how to fix themselves. So instead of fixing themselves, they have in turn become more violent, more just more of everything that is bad about that situation. Hence why there is this, while men have stolen the word incel and use it to describe what they are, it was originally a white woman that described herself as an incel, right? So
Really?
they have turned,
I know that.
It's deep.
Oh.
They have turned into these incels that now want to return to some kind of feudal law where women have no more body autonomy. We're not doing that. I think a woman divesting in the community, in her chosen community, I think it's a glorious thing to do. And I think it's a glorious thing to see when they rally around each other and find their own community and build their own support. Do I think there's a way to fix this? Yes, there is. Do I think most men are going to want to become emotionally intelligent enough to fix it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I see that this is the way that things are going? I'm watching my own children and I say, this is absolutely the way things are going to go. Men have chosen not to make this world a safer place. Actively, they choose it at every turn. What should I do? Should I force my children to go out and, I know it's unsafe out there, but hey, we got to keep this population going? Absolutely not. Body autonomy. Do what you got to do to stay safe on this planet. And if that is removing the biggest predator to you,
Do what you gotta do.
I support you.
Wow. Ooh, I think I just got educated on all of this. I am totally out of the loop on the 4B. And what is the other thing? An incel? I was like,
divesting. It's basically women divesting in dating because men do not know how to date anymore.
I wonder if it's generational.
I think it is.
I think it's generational because my generation, which is, what am I, Gen? I don't even remember.
You are
That's
technically
generation.
a boomer. You're like somewhere between a boomer and Gen X, I want to say.
I'm not a boomer. I'm not that old, am I? But yeah, I'm
But
somewhere in there. But anyway.
But I don't think it's generational. I don't think it's generational.
I think it's generational.
I think it's perpetuated through the line, and this is just how it evolved. This is not new. This is the same thing men have always done. Family over here, family over there. I treat one family better, I treat one family worse. You're my main, you're my side. It's the same thing. It has just evolved as technology has evolved, but humans have not evolved. While we have less hair than we've had in the past, we are still the same warring, the same murdering, we are still the same at core. The only thing that has evolved is this.
The phone she's holding up.
That's the only thing that has evolved. It is still, men did what they did in our mothers and grandmothers' generation because women did not have power. They could say, well, you're going to have to because you can't have a light bill. Well, guess what? Now we got the power to have the light bill. We have our own checking. We have all of these things. What exactly do I need you for? Women don't want an old school man. Guess what? Old school men didn't take care of business back then. Tell me something.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
The funny thing is that if we're looking at this from an energetic thing, I was reading in this one chakra book where they were saying a lot of heart chakra issues started happening in the 60s and 70s because that was when women were given autonomy of having their own banking accounts. They were able to buy their own houses. They were able to buy their own rent, so they could live on their own without having to have a man approve it. And when that happened, a lot of women started divorcing their husbands because now they had a choice.
They had a choice. I think women now just have choices, and I think women have evolved, and that's to change generationally. I think my generation would not have thought to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this new generation, what Gen X's, what we call it, Gen Z's, whatever they're called, you know, this new group of young ladies are powerful and they're knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I see my granddaughter who's 15, who's so much wiser than I was at 15, and who's so much more knowledgeable in the world and womanly things, like even dating, than I was at 15. So is it the woman that's evolved? Or maybe that word evolved should be taken out of my question. But is it the woman that has chosen to broaden her scope of understanding and being an authentic person and understanding who she is in the world and
I
taking
think
back her
it's
power? I think it's beautiful in a
I
way.
think it's a little bit of both, and this is why I say that because I think the women who are part of Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are learning from us millennials, the Gen X's, the boomers. They're seeing the strides that we've made. They're seeing the setbacks that we've had. They're talking to us because with technology we get to live a little bit longer, so now
Right.
everybody's talking, and if women don't do nothing else, we talk to each other, we warn each other about things. There are things that I know my mom and grandma and aunts have had to deal with, and they have told me, if this situation happens, do not fall for the pump fake. Leave, run, do what you got to do. And because now you have all of us, because women are also communal, more than men in most cases, um, we're more communal, so we're more willing to help each other out. We're willing to be our own community. You
Yeah,
know what
we
I
are.
mean? And I think that has empowered the generations that are coming after us to make those choices. Now, are they making wise choices with all the information that they have? That's yet to be seen.
Right.
But they have that information, if nothing else.
Right. They have the option to make some really amazing choices right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I could go back, I have a question for you, both of you. Because we're on different generations. Well, no, you two are in the same generations. If you had to go back to your younger self and what would you tell yourself? You, Treese, not Treese, but Miss T first, because you don't have any children. What would you tell your younger self as a word of wisdom or a sentence of wisdom?
Leave home immediately.
Wow. Leave home immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mostly because even though I had a lot of experiences, those experiences happened when I was finally able to leave home. There were experiences that I wanted to have and could have probably had, but my parents were too worried. So I tended to grow up a little more sheltered compared to some of my other family members. And that came also with me when it came to work. I didn't actually have like an actual job until I was in college because my parents wanted me to focus on school, which I did okay in school, but it's like, had I been able to work, then I probably would have been able to better support myself and not have to rely on people to help me every step of the way. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay. What about you, Tracy?
I would say to my younger self, this is a hard one. I would say a few things. One, don't look for love in the wrong places.
Yeah.
2, just because they're your family you don't owe them anything.
That's
3, you are a lot stronger and smarter than you give yourself credit for.
and you have to believe
You
that.
know, and you have to believe that. And even if you don't believe it, step like a gangster and do it.
Oh, I love that. You know what? I truly don't have anything to add to both of your recaps. That was perfect. I love it. Stuff like a gangster. I love it. And this goes to however you want to call yourself, whatever gender that you want to own. This is for you. This is our wisdom of brown sugar given it to you. Because I know that I have teenagers listen to the show because my granddaughter told
Because
me
they don't know how to go to bed. It's 2 p.m. Do you know where your child is?
Yes, so listen to Brown Sugar Confessions. That's where they are. So we know that they're listening. So if that little bit of wisdom, right, that you just heard, whatever you gender as, own that, claim that. And as we always say on Brown Sugar Confessions, always stay safe and play safe. And we're going to see you next week, guys. Bye-bye for now. Good night.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Brown Sugar Confessions on Power 1017. Go to our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram page at Brown Sugar Confessions to like, share, and follow. Stay safe and play safe. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.